You may have seen this picture from the coup attempt on January 6th. He became known as Zip Tie Guy. Let me tell you how the internet found him using open source intelligence techniques. When doing something like this, the real work is in the details. For example, Zip Tie Guy is wearing cryptech camouflage, which is a clout thing. He also is wearing a Blue Lives Matter stripe patch and a Black Rifle coffee hat, which puts him from Tennessee. With these and other identifiers, it became a little easier to pick him out in crowd shots, which included this picture, and bizarrely, an interview in the lobby of a hotel later that day where he's wearing the same camouflage and with the same woman from the photos who's actually his mom. From there, he was identified as Eric Munchell of Nashville, Tennessee. On his Facebook, he actually live streamed the whole thing with his same red iPhone worn on his tack vest that is seen in older pictures of him. It was enough to take him into custody on the 10th. I'm really skimming over the hard work put in by literally hundreds of internet users. The FBI even acknowledged the help in their arrest warrant. And all of this starting from one picture. Been seeing this comment a lot in my last video, so here's a follow-up because they're not totally wrong, they're just combining stories. On January 6, 2021, terrorists forced their way into the Capitol building and made their way to the Senate floor. Allegedly, and I have to say that until the trial is over, 2 men brought zip-tie restraints to the Senate floor. One was allegedly Eric Munchell of Nashville, Tennessee. See the video this is a response to and about how they found him. The other was allegedly Larry Brock, a retired Air Force lieutenant colonel living in Grapevine, Texas. He was also arrested and appeared in court on Monday, January 10th, and yes, his ex-wife did identify him to authorities. She recognized his patches. And a lot of other people have stepped forward as well, including other family and people who had served with them. So there's 2 separate stories going on here, and a lot of people are chunking them into one. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm talking about restraints. This is my life right now. And I don't believe I have to say this, but don't dogpile the OP. I'm replying in good faith. When we say zip ties, you might think of these. You might have a bundle in your house to hold cables together or something, and you know you could snap these without a problem. What they were carrying in the Capitol are specifically designed for restraining people. Essentially, they're disposable handcuffs. Law enforcement uses them when they need to control a lot of people quickly, like in a riot situation. Bad guys would use them to subdue hostages. The journalist in me is saying it would be irresponsible to say for certain why these men were carrying half a dozen plastic handcuffs up to the Senate floor while Congress was certifying the election. The realist in me can figure it out. I'm responding to one comment at random to this common question, so don't dogpile on them, because it's a legit question. By itself, someone wearing a Black Rifle coffee hat is pretty generic. It doesn't really tell much of anything other than the person wearing it might love coffee and supporting veteran-based businesses. But, as I told a friend in my comments, this is about thinking sideways. On the plate carrier, he's wearing a thin blue line patch in the shape of Tennessee, which provides the context. Black Rifle Coffee is based out of Tennessee outside of Nashville. Yes, there's one near Salt Lake City, but the Tennessee patch gives context to the hat, which gives a better idea of his location. I also mentioned his cryptech camo for a reason. Cryptech is expensive. Anyone who spends a lot of money on a cosplay will tell you they want to wear it out and be seen in it. It's the camo of choice for another right-wing militia group, and people at first thought the Tennessee patches were a curveball. They weren't. So when people looked into the Nashville protests, they looked for the cryptech camo, matched the patches and pattern location from the Capitol coup, and found the person of interest. It's never about one individual element, it's how everything tells a story. It's too easy. I can't. The people who invaded the Capitol building aren't stupid. They're arrogant. Usual disclaimer, random poster, common question, don't dogpile them. The insurgents were not poor white trash. They have money. Zip-tie guy's pants cost more than you probably spend on groceries in a week, and I'm not even going to talk about his plate carrier and Molly gear. They were organized on Parler, talked in real time on Zello, on newer iPhones. These aren't stupid people. They're arrogant. It's top-down thinking. Congress just installed metal detectors after the coup attempt, and GOP lawmakers are having hissy fits and just walking around them. The arrogance is in the fact that they know nothing will happen to them for breaking the rules. Just like the terrorists knew they'd walk away from the Capitol. Just like the right-wingers who are planning an armed siege on D.C. know that nothing's going to happen to them. The terrorists expected to take over the Capitol and be hailed as heroes. It's why they all cosplayed with very identifiable gear. They wanted to prove that they were there and that they liberated the United States. Or in more nerdy terms, they think they're the main characters. In reality, they're the disposable NPCs. Professor Casey duetted my video about Zip Tie Guy and made a very good point, one that's worth amplifying, and to Professor Casey, if you had a video on this that I could boost it instead, I'm sorry I couldn't find it. Her point was that internet sleuthing can be dangerous if you're wrong, and frankly people get it wrong more than they get it right, and when that happens it can cause real harm to come to innocent people when the wrath of internet justice unloads on them. The other part is ethical. I come from a journalist background, so I have a working knowledge of how far I can go naming and sourcing people and places. Most of the internet does not. And in internet rage culture, most people wouldn't protect the meat person they're going after while I try to. But that's me being chaotic good. There's a reason I bowed out of the hunt for the insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol building. I know my limits, and I know I'm going to throw the signal-to-noise ratio off. That, and I know the stakes are too high. A wrong path will get someone hurt or worse. So before you think about trying to break a case or even chase someone down online, think if it's worth getting it wrong first. Because you probably will. A couple days ago, the New York Times published this opinion piece, which should terrify you. The article included this video showing smartphone pings from a few thousand people during the Capitol siege on January 6th. You can see a clear migration from the White House rally to the U.S. Capitol, and at first you might think this is great, slam dunk smoking gun proof of who was there. But we need to step back a little more to get why this is scary. This information was gleaned through a private company's smartphone apps and is available on the open market. That information is supposed to be anonymous, but if you cross-reference several databases, it's not. The authors of the piece traced several pings back to the actual meat person, and in one case tracked their movements from their home to the riot. All of this is legal and has no real regulation. There's an entire corporate surveillance ecosystem that exists for target marketing, and this information is available to anyone with the money to buy it. And that should terrify you. It's not a simple issue, and a 1-minute TikTok won't be enough to get into the ethics and problems and lack of workable solutions. But based on the government's track record, our personal privacy is going to die because a private company wants to specifically sell you underwear.